Hello, fight fans, and welcome back to the Hit and Don't Get Hit podcast. And I'm joined, as ever, by James and Joe. It's been a while, that's how you've been.
I'm very good, mate. Just a quick question for our fight fans, actually, down below. If you eat crisps, right? Which
Oh my god, this again.
chili heat wave Dorito or sour cream Pringles? What would you say first? Because I want to know the opinions of this.
I'd go sour cream and onion because I don't like spicy Doritos. Anyways, crack on from this. The big fight last night. Conor Benn making a huge statement in the welterweight division by absolutely destroying Samuel Vargas inside one round.
What a performance from him! As soon as he literally turned it up a notch, Vargas went. I know he didn't drop him, but the Vargas was literally about to go, and I think he complained a little bit when it was stopped.
It was a fair stoppage,
yeah,
I believe. So he just throws every punch with that viciousness. Conor Benn, he carries so much power and remind the way he goes on, the way he carries himself, his fighting style, just reminds us so much of his dad. And the way they fight they're very similar. They've both got that raw power, but they throw every shot with that intent to knock you out. And it takes such a veteran out like Samuel Vargas, who's been in the top elite welterweighters like Amir Khan, Danny Garcia, and Errol Spence Jr. For him to make a statement of that and knock him out first round, it really puts Conor Benn in the discussion really of what's already a stacked welterweight division. I mean, you've got your Sean Porters, you've got the big boys, Errol Spence, you've got Terence Crawford, just to name a few. And I think, my personal opinion, I think the fight that should next be happening is Conor Benn versus Amir Khan. I don't want to see Amir Khan against Kell Brook. I want to see Amir Khan against Conor Benn, because Amir Khan and Kell Brook's both past it. It's not really going to be. In fact, I'd go as far as saying Conor Benn versus Amir Khan is bigger than Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. That's my opinion.
I agree. I think the welterweight division is. I said last podcast that the welterweight division was dying a little bit, and we touched on Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, and I still kind of think that it's just because, and maybe that's because it's not as good as it was 15 years ago, which is obviously very hard to do with all the fighters you had back then. But that performance last night just really reinforced my mind as well. Like, oh shit, this division's actually spicing up a little bit again. Like Conor Benn, Amir Khan would be massive. I think. I think Kell Brook is finished as a fighter personally, and I know obviously a few years back when Amir Khan kind of had his comeback, they were talking about them two having a fight, or and it would have been a massive fight. I'd agree, but I just think Conor Benn against Amir Khan would be huge, and it's a fight I think Conor Benn would win. I agree. Last night was a massive statement from him. I know obviously Samuel Vargas isn't, he's not elite level, but
he's been in elite competition.
He's a very big fighter still, especially for Conor Benn. It was a big challenge for him, and he stepped up, and he took care of him within a matter of minutes, which is mental. Him, Amir Khan would be pretty big.
I think I want to touch on what you said there, James, about the welterweight division dying. I think it's that big fight we've talked about before, Errol Spence against Terence Crawford, and them both stalling division like that. It just takes it all away. And there's obviously, we've got mentioned one of the pound-for-pound greats of all time, Manny Pacquiao, he's still in the mix, Keith Thurman's in the mix. But I think now with Conor Benn really announcing himself, the welterweight division will go back to what it used to be like. It was like back in the day, it was a prime time division. Everyone was focused on the welterweight division when Floyd was fighting Manny, De La Hoya, and so on and so on. But yeah, I think Conor Benn's the biggest prospect, not just in Britain, but I think in the world. That's my honest opinion. I think he's improving every single fight. He's just 20. He's just 24 as well. That's really mad. I think he's just 24. He's still got a lot to come. I think that's it. The sky is the limit for Conor Benn. He has, I believe, and I think he's going to be world champion in next year, easy. So
I agree. I think he's the best prospect. About what's scary, right, is like this time last month. I don't know if you remember, Sheep, but where we actually first started pretty much like getting to know each other and talking on like about boxing. We were talking about the Josh Kelly fight when he fought out, and we all were talking about Josh Kelly, Conor Benn, Josh Kelly, and we just like brushed Conor Benn aside, kind of like Josh Kelly would easily beat Ben. That's what we all thought. Obviously, and now Conor Benn at this moment would, as much as obviously Josh Kelly's from Southern, he's our man. Being real, Conor Benn would destroy Josh Kelly if they had that fight right now. Josh Kelly needs to, go back, assess his loss, and improve the game. But I just think Conor Benn, he's miles above that level now, which is kind of like the level to like. And last night, Conor Benn he's got a table with the big boys now, and he's gonna definitely be. I think he'd beat Errol Spence as well in the next year. Give not like warm-up fights. Give him the Amir Khan fight.
Yeah, I think
he wins that. Give him a world title fight. Why not?
Yeah, like I agree. Like just for Josh Kelly, I think he really needs to move up in weight. That's my opinion, to the 154. That welterweight. I think, like I said, I agree with you. Conor Benn is the man to beat. Like he will be the man to beat in that division, and I see him becoming a multi-weight division champion in the near future. 100%, no doubt about it.
And what a story as well. Like his dad, like the legend.
Like his dad.
And now he's not even like falling in his like shadow. He's like
not even exceeded.
He
looks scary.
Mad.
I think he's stepping out of his dad's shadow, because when he first came into the boxing, the pro games, it was Nigel Benn's son, Nigel Benn this, Nigel Benn that. But I think obviously Nigel being over in Australia, Conor's still over here. Like I really think he's made a name for himself. 100%.
Actually, that's fine. That quick fun fact: do you know Nigel Benn had a world title fight in Newcastle? Did you know that? I don't know. That's a random point I've thrown in, but that it just came to my mind right now. My dad went to that fight. I was just thinking about that there. Anyways,
well, I think I remember the name.
He got beat, by the way.
I think South African. I'm just getting it up here, pad. I just got it up here. Tulani Malinga. I've never heard of him in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was in what we know now is a Metro Arena. And then he obviously went on to fight Steve Collins, and that's when he retired. But Nigel Benn was a beast. He's obviously given so many great fights with Chris Eubank Jr. So, like I said, the sky's the limit for Conor. He's going to do unbelievably well, in my opinion. That's my thoughts on him.
Yeah.
Now, that was not the only fight that was on last night. Prime time as well. Not often we see a prime time UK UFC night. Marvin Vettori defeating a short notice opponent in Kevin Holland by decision. My personal thoughts, I think Vettori started really slow. I gave the first round to Holland, but he just done the job. He exposed Kevin Holland's takedown defence. Which is a very way to start off with, like we're saying, against Derek Brunson. Yeah, he done well. He done the job that was necessary, and like he really put his name in there for a rematch with Israel Adesanya. So I want to see your thoughts on that, boys.
With your thoughts about going for a title shot, I have seen a lot of people saying that he deserves it, but I have also seen a lot of people saying that Brunson, obviously he beat Holland. Does he deserve a title shot?
In my opinion, the person who would get the next title shot should be Robert Whittaker. I mean, he's beat two contenders off the boat. He beat Darren Till and he beat Jared Cannonier. And I know he's got Kelvin Gastelum next week. And I imagine that I think Whittaker will win that fight. And that he should be the number one contender. I'd like to see Derek Brunson against either Paulo Costa or even Vettori against Paulo Costa. We've still got Paulo Costa in the mix, and then Darren Till. I think what I personally would do, I think I'd go Vettori against Costa, and I'd make Derek Brunson against Darren Till. I think that's a fight to make. It was obviously unfortunate with Darren Till with a shoulder injury. I think he would have gave Vettori a good win for his money. But
you think he'd have beaten him, or do you not think he'd have beaten him?
It would have been a closer. I think Vettori's just a bull, isn't he? But he would have took Till down, but Till's very hard to keep down. Gastelum couldn't keep him down for long. But that middleweight division is looking real nice again all of a sudden. What I'm thinking about is what's next for Kevin Holland. I think he really needs to take a good look in the mirror, see if he wants this. He's obviously, he had that wonderful 2020 when he went 5-0. But now he's had in 2021 he's had 2 main events. He's 0-2. I think he's got the talent. He's such a great fighter. He's got the talent.
Russian.
Oh, sorry.
The UFC, it's obviously UFC and boxing. They're draining sports. You need after a fight in UFC, you need 6 weeks off, and he's rushing into that. You got to remember as well, he was a stand-in for Darren Till, so it's how many weeks' notice? 2 weeks' notice you're going in on, because we were prepared to talk about Darren Till versus Vettori. In our last podcast, we were prepared to talk about that, and now we're going on. Within 2 weeks now, the fight totally changed, and obviously, so I think you do have to cut him a bit of slack. I mean, I know he said he wants to get Cormier in as his help.
He mentioned about Khabib as well when he was against Brunson. He was talking to him. It made us laugh. He needs someone like a DC, maybe go into that American kickboxing academy, I think it is, what DC and Khabib trained in. I think moving to that gym will. Even his trainer says he needs someone. I think on the feet he's got really nice hands. He's quick at just that takedown defense and on the ground. Whereas if DC came in like Khabib or someone like that, that'll change his career for sure.
Well, just going off that there, Holland actually did land more significant strikes in the fight, but I mean, this is crazy. Vettori had 20 minutes of control time throughout the fight. Three of the 5 rounds he had at least 4.5 minutes of control time. I mean, it does just go to show. Oh, would you say it was a dominant display though?
Yeah.
I
He
think
he did.
He done the job. Yeah, he did.
The fight he wasn't initially preparing for as well. So fair play to him. Do you think you would? Just a question for both of you. Do you think you would have beat Darren Till if they had that fight last night?
Yeah, I think he would have. It would have been a lot closer. I would have picked Darren Till to win them earlier rounds, and then Vettori pushing. But Darren Till Vettori pushed the pace early on, but he always lunges in. You can't lunge in against Darren Till. Maybe Darren Till could have caught him, but
we'll see after now. Darren Till come back, and then maybe that'll be his next fight. Vettori's next fight, because it was nailed on, and obviously it's a massive fight for Darren Till as well. So
I'd make Vettori. Yeah, I said I'd make Vettori against Costa.
Yeah,
definitely. I think Brunson's a perfect opponent for Darren Till. I think, in my opinion, I think that's the fight to make Darren Till against Derek Brunson. But in Kevin Holland, he'll bounce back, no doubt about it. Listen, for a kid that went 5-0, 2020 is unbelievable, in my opinion.
He's had a lot of. Well, sorry, he's had a lot of fights in a very short space of time. What is it, 13 in 3 years?
That's just too much.
I agree.
That's I know I touched on that a few minutes ago, but 2 fights already in 2021 in Ronnie in April. Come on, man! You've got to take a break, man. Just enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? You've had a great 2020. He still. If he fought in 2020, we wouldn't be complaining if we hadn't seen him yet this year. You know what I mean? If we seen him in May time, that's fine. After 2020, he should have literally, gone back to wherever he lives and chilled out for a good few months. You know what I mean? And then then came back in to the octagon fresh and take off from where he left off. Is that? I don't know if that makes sense. But do you get what I'm saying? Off, man. Don't rush into your fights so quick. And that's what his problem is. Maybe he loves fighting too much, which could be a major flaw because that could like really affect his record, which is already at like something like 7 losses, I think now. Obviously that's an MMA record, obviously not a UFC record, but I think he's just rushed into it, and Kevin Holland has just used that to his advantage. Maybe he's also he was stepping in, like you've already had one fight in 2021 that you've lost. Why then go into another fight?
It's the fighting mentality.
On 2 weeks' notice. Fair play to him. He wants to come in and fight, but come on, like think a little bit as well, man. Like what's best for you.
Exactly. I don't think he had enough time to adjust, because I heard them saying on the commentary last night it was the first time in, I think it was middleweight history, that a fighter had 2 consecutive at least 15 minutes of control time lost in 2 fights, obviously on 2 fights on the bounce, and he needed time to adjust.
I agree. I think that's going to be a major flaw, because I wouldn't be surprised now if we just seen him like rush into a fight.
Yeah, I think he'll take his time. I've just seen an article there. He is planning on going to American Kickboxing Academy to work with Daniel Cormier. He came out and said he will do that, and I think that's going to do him the world of good. I think we're really going to see a new and improved Kevin Holland. Like I rate him. I was even saying to my friends last year, I think Kevin Holland could be a world champion. I still believe that.
Oh yeah,
I think he's the most talented. He just needs to use that talent to his best advantage. He needs to be more focused, and maybe he's not fighting. I don't know what fight makes sense for Kevin Holland next. I'd probably fight him like a lower ranked opponent in the middleweight division to sort of get his mojo back, get the floor.
Check up if he's written any songs. Take the Tyron Woodley approach. that could be major. You know what I mean?
No, don't diss the great Tyron Woodley.
Tyron Woodley, legend, man, absolute legend. Wrote a song, lost 4 times, and he fucked off out of UFC. So, but yeah, fair play to Vettori. Did what he had to do, and pretty much dominated him. And now he could fight Robert Whittaker, maybe, if Robert Whittaker wins next week. I know obviously you've touched on even probably bigger opponents, Shea, but yeah.
I think if Whittaker wins next Saturday, he does fight Adesanya for the rematch. It'd be a great watch. But I think Adesanya beats him again. I'm looking at the rankings here of middleweight. Kevin Holland's ranked 10th, and loads of below him: Chris Weidman, Edmund Shabazian, Amari Akhmedov, Brad Tavares, Sean Strickland. I think Brad Tavares would be a great matchup for him.
Yeah,
Brad Tavares is very, very stubborn, well-rounded, but very, very beatable. For someone like Kevin Holland, I think he'll stop him. That's just to boost his confidence again. Or maybe see him fight the winner of Uriah Hall against Weidman. Who knows, or the loser against Shabazian and Manson. There's another bit
UFC, by the way. Like putting on these like UFC Vegas fights every week. You just turn it on, you chill out on it. It's like pretty much like every week now, isn't it? Like UFC.
It's the best. I think UFC's
massive fight
boxing.
Like it's huge, man. I'm loving it, man. It's class UFC Vegas, and then every week, you watch a matchroom fight. Like last few weeks we've had, obviously doing my fight was a few weeks back now, but we had Dillian Whyte and then UFC Vegas. Then we had last night we had Conor Benn UFC Vegas. It's top notch stuff from the UFC and fighting. Saturday nights, in the house. I know pubs are open tomorrow, but it's top notch. In the house, few beers, watch the boxing, turn on UFC Vegas, chill out. Sometimes you might get a major UFC event. Quality fighting is quality at the minute. I'm loving it.
Going back to the Whittaker fight next week, who've you got for that one?
I think Whittaker gets the job done, mid to late rounds, 3rd round, I'd say. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Whittaker stoppage maybe later rounds, or you'll get an on decision like you did with Darren Till. But Roy Whittaker, massive for him. Obviously, we'll touch on it in the coming podcast, I'd imagine. So, again, credit to Dana White, who's organising these events. The man's obviously a fucking machine, and non-stop.
We'll jump on to another big announcement the USA made for the first time ever, a co-main event that is scheduled for 5 rounds, which is going to be Leon Edwards against the one, the only Nathan Diaz. So,
hey, what's the other main event on that fight? That's cool. The main one.
It's Oliveira against Chandler.
Oh, that's gonna be when's that?
May, I think. I think that's May. Yeah, it's May.
That's gonna be massive.
That's a stacked card. It's got 20,000 and everything on.
Oh, it's gonna be a good fight.
Really good fight.
Either returning the
I think it's gonna be one-sided though, in my opinion. I think Leon Edwards beats him bad. I love for Nate Diaz. I want Nate Diaz to win, 100%. But Leon Edwards' quality. I think he beats up Nate Diaz. I don't think he'll stop him. I think
you're not stopping Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz, he cuts too easily. One jab and he cuts.
Yeah.
He'll bust up that high very early. Leon Edwards, and be just a one-way traffic from now, really.
Well, that's what you got in the Masvidal fight. Obviously, Nate went in, I'd say he was losing the rounds, but it was still pretty close rounds, and obviously, but he was just cut up, man. Obviously, stopped it. And then what's so good is you put on Twitter after the fight, like, peace out, fight game, and now here he is back a year and a half later, ready to go again. You know, you gotta love the bloke. So respect to him.
Well, it hasn't been officially confirmed. We know that both fighters have signed the contract for the exciting trilogy, which is Dustin Poirier against Conor the notorious McGregor. I'm excited for this. I think obviously Dustin won games.
I'm sorry, Shay, but like it's just getting draining with McGregor now. The bloke doesn't know when to walk away, and Dustin Poirier will finish earlier this time. Earlier, quicker. McGregor has never been in the right headspace for about 3 years now. He's putting on stuff on Instagram which is just making me cringe, like a nose kick. It's just like really fucking embarrassing in my opinion. And he's just never taken. He still isn't taking Dustin Poirier seriously, which is just a joke. You beat him 6 years ago, and since then, look at him. Like he's came on leaps and bounds, and he destroyed you. It was light work for him back in January, and it's going to be light work for him again. Like the left hand, classic McGregor shot isn't there anymore. It's a shame because I love McGregor, but he just needs to walk away from it. It's boring as to death, the whole Conor McGregor situation now, and I don't want to see him lose.
When you make that much money and you're still motivated the way he is, you've got to admire him for it. Like,
no, he's not
so dedicated. He is. He's dedicated to the craft. If he's not motivated, not that motivated, why is he fighting again?
Because
he's got endless amount of money.
Because he loves the hype of it all, and he doesn't love
the hype of it all.
The bloke trained on a yacht for Dustin Poirier first fight. He trained on a yacht and he stepped in.
You got to think. Why trains normally in islands? It is a lockdown.
I was going to say not like the gyms are open. Exactly. Can I go into a gym?
No, well, how come Dustin Poirier got to do a full camp? No, I'm not having that.
I'm not saying that the fight, but you're saying when he's trained on a yacht, he still has his own coaching team, so it doesn't really matter where you train. But like he says,
it does. It's like look at David Hay, Tony Bellew, 2017.
We're really gonna compare David Hay to Conor McGregor.
No, I'm just saying like a camp. David Hay trained on a yacht in Miami, and he was going, "Oh, look at me! I'm waking up on sunny mornings in Miami. This is what I like to do. Look what happened." Tony Bellew trained in a shithole in Rotherham, trained as hard as he could, went in the ring and beat him. And and then the same thing happened with McGregor in January. McGregor took the fight way too lightly, went in way over his head against Dustin, which is just stupid because Dustin Poirier is still one of the best fighters in the game, and Poirier completely destroyed him from start to finish. And the same thing's going to happen again. He said on Instagram the other day he's going to finish the fight with a nose kick. A nose kick.
He's messing on there.
McGregor loves to play up.
The man's a fucking idiot, man. Get him gone. I'm sorry. Like, I hope
you want the person who put the UFC on the map to go. The UFC is nothing without Conor McGregor.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. That's a fair point. You put it on the map, and he was brilliant for 3 years. He was absolutely brilliant. He was the king. No one could, apart from Nate Diaz, but no, he came back and beat Nate Diaz. But no one could stop McGregor. He went away. He fought Mayweather. He got his big payday, and he went in and had his mental health problems with he should have just walked away from the sport. And he's never really been in the right headspace for a fight. He's lost 3 of his last 6 fights. Shea. Like, you can say all you want about him.
But it doesn't matter. 3 of these last 6 fights. Look at those 3 of the last 6 fights. Nate Diaz, which he came back and beat, by the way. Khabib, like.
Yeah.
One of the greatest of all time, and Dustin Poirier was an elite fighter.
A bit of performance. Obviously, Nate Diaz. We'll brush that one aside because.
But you can't. You see, look at the performance against Poirier. He won the first round. Did he? Did he not win the first round?
He was stiff. He was stiff the whole round.
He won the first round.
Poirier scored a takedown on him. Poirier
didn't keep him down, no. He got battled. Didn't do much for a takedown.
He landed a few left hands that Poirier just ate up and said, "Yeah, like that didn't help to make an actual trademark shot."
But in that fight, he came in with that boxing stance we've never seen McGregor came in before, and that leaves him very open to calf kicks. Like he needs to bring that style against Eddie Alvarez, the Jose Aldo style, that karate style. Like that.
He didn't bring that style. He came in against Eddie Alvarez. He was world class. He respected the opponent, and he was amazing.
He was overthinking Dustin Poirier. 100% he was overthinking him, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He had that Khabib fight in mind. He had that Manny Pacquiao fight in mind. But this fight, Conor McGregor now knows it's now or never for him, really. If he loses to Dustin Poirier in July, he's gone. Like, he's got, there's no way back from him. As much as, it pains for us to see it. I do believe he beats Dustin Poirier. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. But if he does get beat off Dustin Poirier in July, I think he's got there's not much there from it. Maybe if Nate Diaz gets beat, which he does, maybe the Nate Diaz fight, but still though Conor McGregor wouldn't settle that. He wants that world title.
There's no way back from McGregor if he loses in July. You can't have that bigger name coming back for small fights. His name needs to be against the elite, and he needs to beat the elite.
But say if he does get beat, it's only one fight he'll come back for, and that's Nate Diaz. And would you say that's really a small fight?
Yes. It's just
a Nate Diaz.
No, a Nate Diaz trilogy fight is massive if he wins. But if he loses that,
even if he loses,
it's just 2 losers, man. Shit, it would get numbers. It would get numbers, yeah. But it wouldn't
get 2 million easy.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. It would get numbers, but would you
tune in to watch it?
Would you be? No, I wouldn't.
You watch it? You wouldn't tune in to watch Conor McGregor against Nate Diaz for the trilogy.
No,
James.
Shea, I wouldn't. I'd tune in.
Would you?
I'd tune in if he beats Poirier in July, then they have the third fight. If Nate Diaz
if he beats Poirier in July,
then
trilogy doesn't happen. He goes in for the title.
Watch it, but there's just no way. Come on,
that fight's only in the question if he gets beat.
And that fight would just be washed up if he gets beat then, because I couldn't be bothered with this. I know, Shea, you love McGregor and all that. I love McGregor, but there's a time and a place you've got to say no more, man. You've achieved greatness, and there's nowhere to go if you lose in July. In my opinion, there's nowhere to go after the loss against Poirier in January, because that's a man that he beat easily in his run up to
6 years ago, though. 6 years ago, he's Poirier progressed since then.
That's what I'm saying, though. He easily beat him, and then he goes in 7 years later or 6 years later and gets beat, pretty convincingly. So, that just shows how far downhill he's gone, in my opinion. Do Do you think? Actually, just a question. I know this is turning into a bit of an argument from who's a Conor McGregor fanboy, all that stuff.
Go on then. What is?
Obviously, the first fight had a lot of there was a lot more like obviously the first fight. Sorry, this is going to be the third fight. The first fight, obviously, there was a lot of I wouldn't say there was a lot of tension and a lot of shit talking. Then the second fight, you seen obviously a very overconfident McGregor, but they were much more respectful towards each other. Obviously now on Instagram, I don't know if anyone's seen like Dustin Poirier's post, and obviously McGregor saying he's going to win the third fight with a nose kick or whatever in the fourth round. Do you think obviously this fight will have more like the tension that we've seen in the first fight, kind of more like hatred between each other, or do you think they'll be more like respectful again, but more like trying to like get in each other's heads? Like
I think that'll be from Conor.
Conor classically does.
Connor's he has to. Like you said before, no more Mr. Nice Guy, and I don't think he will be Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
At all. But no, UFC are stacking that card, which they don't normally do.
Fans in for that, by the way. Fans will be back by in
yeah.
Get it in America because America's
I know that the Defo was stacking the card. I know that they announced a couple of their fights. I'm going to try and get it up right now.
Can I just go back to what you mentioned about the Diaz fight as well? It is a weird parallel to 2016 to this year, because obviously he beaten Aldo in 2015 and it was like, right, he's on top of the world, he can't be beaten. Nate Diaz brings him back down to earth. I feel obviously he didn't beat Cowboy for the title or anything, but he beat Cowboy on top of the world. The hype train was up. Same with the Aldo fight. He's now being beaten off Poirier. The hype train's being derailed. Same with the Diaz fight in 2016. Do you think if he wins this, it's not a case of if he wins, it's a case of he needs to win, as you say.
Of course he does, yeah.
He needs to win.
He needs it.
Which will play on his mind and play in Poirier's mind as well, because Poirier, it's kind of, if he loses, okay, he's just got beat off Conor McGregor, he'll still be in for a title shot, whereas if McGregor loses, as you say, he could very well be finished, which could have a positive impact on his lead up to the fight, because last fight, obviously he was preparing for Manny Pacquiao, he was preparing for Khabib or whatever. This fight, he knows if he loses, he's done.
Yeah, I think again, Joe, you're like a silent assassin. You just come in with like some very good points there. I completely agree. Conor McGregor has to win. Obviously, by the way, the fight is actually going to be on my birthday night out, so it's going to be some night for watching the fight. But sorry, I have to throw that in. But 18, you're only 18 months. But obviously, it's going to have massive eyes. I'm going to watch it. But if McGregor, and as much as I love McGregor, I think he's he got me into the fight essentially. But he has to win this fight. If you lose this fight, and even if he walks away after this fight, if he walks away after this fight, that's 6 losses on his record, and everything, the whole aura around him, the first double champ in UFC history, the whole, getting into his opponent's head and predicting what's going to happen, that's going to completely be taken away from him if he loses this fight. No one will remember him for what he was if he loses this third fight, which is why he has to win. And that's why I'm thinking, don't take it, because I honestly don't think he will win. I think Dustin Poirier will stop him in the first round. It's a big call from us, but if they have that third fight, which obviously it looks, obviously there's been no official announcement, but they've both obviously kind of confirmed it. That third fight, July 10th, Dustin Poirier finishes Conor McGregor in the first round.
That's a bold statement, bold prediction. I don't agree with that statement, and I don't think she does either.
I'll make the first prediction. I think there'll be a Conor McGregor KO in the third round. I think so. I think you'll get to Dustin. He'll become more. Change his style.
The third round. You think Conor McGregor is going to beat him in the third round? Conor McGregor gasses after 2 rounds and that's it, man. Conor McGregor's never stopped someone after 2 rounds. He's won twice. He's won obviously on decision before, once or twice, but he's never gone on to beat anyone after 2 rounds. If McGregor's going to win, it'll be first or second round. No way. McGregor
will say
third round.
people used to say that about Joshua. And look, he's took Klitschko out. He's took Cuba Pulev out in the later rounds.
No one used to say that about Anthony Joshua.
Yes, they did.
No, he didn't. I'm sorry. Because Joshua before the Klitschko fight or the Dominic Brazil fight had never actually, because he'd been knocking everyone out, he'd never gone past that round. Conor McGregor has been beaten when he's gone past the rounds he usually wins in. You know what I mean?
But he outlasted a triathlete. Nate Diaz is a cardio freak. Nate Diaz can go 12 rounds at MMA. He outlasted him. If he can outlast Nate Diaz.
No, he nearly very, very... No, and that in my opinion is... that in the Eddie Alvarez fight was Conor McGregor's best 2 performances. And I 100% agree with that, but look, the first fight, man, he gassed in the second round.
He gassed in the second round, but look, he moved up 2 weight divisions.
And then the second fight, he gassed again, caught a second wind, and then the 5th round, Diaz still took it. I think it was still a very close fight here. You know, he didn't... I think
it was a clear 3-2 for me.
He did enough to win. And he showed that when they're both fresher, he showed that in both fights. When they're both fresh, like, he is by far the better fighter. But I just think I think your prediction of the 3rd round is a bit. Obviously I respect it, like, but I want him to win, but I just can't see him. If McGregor's going to win that fight, it's 1st or 2nd round, and that's the same for any McGregor fight, which is the worry. That is the big worry. Once you drain that gas tank and you throw him into deep waters, he's gone. And that's what Poirier didn't even need to do that in the rematch in January. Poirier just kind of, chopped them down, did the leg kicks in the 1st round. 2nd round, he upped the level a tiny little bit. McGregor went. The whole aura now went because he's been knocked out by someone now. He was sparked. And I know that, and I will give him some slack. He got mainly, dropped because of how bad his leg was. Like, that would have played a massive fact. But still, man, I just can't. I just think the way the whole Poirier's level and McGregor's level is completely changed now, and I just think Poirier will end it earlier this time.
Going back to that first Diaz fight, though. Yes, he got beat, but I do like to draw another parallel here. So it is so obvious with the weigh-ins at the 2 Diaz fights. The first Diaz fight, it's the first time he doesn't do his like signature like scream or whatever on stage, and he's standing there and he's like smiling away, and it's like, nah, he doesn't look ready here. The second fight he goes on and he's like shaking, ready to go. And I think this could be very similar with the Poirier fight. So first press conference, weigh-in, sorry. He's not his usual self. He let out like a baby's wah type thing. He didn't let out his proper battle cry, but but I think again that could very well change on the second fight. And I know my mate actually said he could tell he didn't look. I don't know whether it was confidence. No, he didn't look ready walking to the ring.
No, he looked very ready.
Do you think?
I was so confident he'd win that rematch. Like the way he was going, the confidence in him. But that was the most confident we've ever seen. I know he didn't like do his usual tactic of getting into my head, but that is the most confident Conor McGregor. I think. Would you agree, Ashley? That's the most confident Conor McGregor you've ever seen.
No,
I agree.
He didn't look himself at like, press conferences, and
too nice, over the top nice.
The most confident I've ever seen Conor.
Before, like, that's the most like confident in terms of the way he was speaking in interviews. The words he said was, "Dustin's a great fighter, but greatness is levels below me." That speaks confidence. He looked very confident, in my opinion.
The most he's looked confident in is against Eddie Alvarez. Like, Gucci meat,
hands behind the back.
That's the most confident I've ever seen.
That's the best McGregor we'll ever see.
Absolutely.
True.
Because of the whole levels of the smack talk before the fight, the way he got in it, kind of tried getting Eddie Alvarez's head. The funniest we've seen him, in my opinion. The level of becoming the first, UFC double champion in history, and the performance itself, like going in as a champion of Eddie Alvarez, and just slaughtering him essentially. But like it's going back to what you said about the Nate Diaz fight. That's where I will give Conor McGregor so much credit. Like going up 2 divisions from Jose Aldo. Like he went from featherweight straight up to welterweight for that fight. He just said like when Dos Anjos he was going to fight.
Yeah.
Like when Dos Anjos, he was like, screw it, I'll fight anyone. He fights Diaz. Probably a bad decision considering Diaz doesn't matter how much notice Diaz has, he'll come in and he'll be ready for 5 rounds, you know what I mean? But I think that's where you do have to give him credit for. I just think like we're kind of going around, I know I'm going around in circles here, I just think it's the whole aura now is washed up and he could just walk away from it. UFC is a young man's sport and I think he's just had his time. And I think that the rematch against Poirier, I keep saying the first one because it was such a big difference. The rematch with Poirier kind of showed that he had his time. And the third fight is like, it's, now or never for him for so many reasons. Like the whole legacy he has could totally go if he loses this fight, which is why I don't think he should go in for it because I think he is going to lose.
He could lose. He might not lose. I can't wait to find out. But one last thing though, did you see the video of him running on the treadmill?
That's outrageous.
Right.
I know you've got the data behind that. I want to know.
So I did the maths right, and I do a bit of running myself. So on the actual treadmill,
cold water swimming. Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh mate, I love me cold water swimming. It's class. But so on the treadmill, it says he's on a speed of 16.5 kilometers per hour, which might mean nothing to you, but I'll explain that bit later. He's ran for 52 minutes, right? And he was currently on setting 18 on the treadmill. If you try and go on to setting 18 on the treadmill, it's hard. I only last for a mile or two at that pace. So again, looking at the numbers here, if you put that time, and kind of do all the working out, he's running at an average pace of 3 minutes 39 per kilometre, which might not mean a lot, but do you remember the first lockdown? It was like run 5, donate 5, tag 5.
Yeah.
And what time did you see? Like mid-20s, stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely.
And I know he's an elite athlete, but he's not a runner. He worked out here just from that. He'd probably run faster. He'd run a sub 18-minute 5K, which is insanely quick. And on this treadmill, he'd been running for 14.24 kilometres at an average pace of 3 minutes 39 per kilometre. If you're a runner, you know that's quick. So about his gas tank, I know it's not the same as fighting, but
I think that's a deliberate lie from him. He's they expose that. Right, I'll expose that. Like there is no chance Conor McGregor could do that. Sorry,
What you make me kind of that? Have you seen the McGregor fast program?
That's like Mo Farah speed. that ain't happening.
No, Mo Farah's a lot faster than that.
Mo Farah's like 20 kilometres, I think. 25.
It's something like that. But going back to the 5K thing, the 5K world record is 12 and a half. He's doing 18, which for an average person, 18 is ridiculously fast. But
get him at the great run, he'd have a heart attack after 10 miles.
Give over, man.
Oh my God! No.
He'd have a heart attack at the Tyne Bridge.
What's your problem with it,
I mean, insane stats, by the way, Joe. Like, credit there, but Conor McGregor could not do that. He's got a clone obviously doing that for him. I'm not having that. I'm not having it. I refuse to admit that.
Right, so we did have a few Instagram questions. The first one, going back to Ngannou, who's been like the main focus of our first 3 podcasts. Eddie Hearn came out the other day and he did say he think Whyte and Ngannou would have a fight or something. So this question is, would Ngannou beat Whyte in a boxing match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see his power in boxing because he is a boxer. He's already says. Ngannou says he's a boxer. He loves the sport of boxing. That's what he trained in.
He would spock Dillian Whyte out. But Dillian Whyte would beat AJ in a rematch.
If you haven't seen that one, go check out the clip or the last podcast. It got a bit heated. But anyway, next. Go on, sorry.
Today's got more heated than that. I mean, she just had an argument about Conor McGregor.
When you talk about Conor McGregor, I mean, you always got to get a reaction. You talk negatively.
Yeah.
Go on at the next one. We've already touched on Conor Benn earlier, but this one is Conor Benn the future face of British boxing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Well, for welterweight, yeah.
But,
just in general.
In general, 100%. Because if you look at our prospects,
it's Billy Joe Thorne, Conor Benn, and that's it.
Buatsi is our prospect as well. Conor Benn.
Well, I mean, we're talking about prospects here. Obviously, we've got Tyson, Fury, and AJ. Obviously, they're probably the biggest ones. But yeah,
I'm saying like when them go, who are you gonna?
Ben, defo, I agree.
Conor Benn, yeah.
Answer to that, yes, 100%.
200%.
Yeah.
Who do you think would rival? Like not necessarily rival, but who would kind of be if he's top? Who would be second and third?
Joshua Buatsi.
So. I'd say I know he's getting on a bit now. I could say Billy Joe because of we haven't recently been tested yet, and we're going to get that. But I think prospects, in terms of prospect wise, yeah, I agree. It wouldn't be Billy Joe. Billy Joe's kind of a lot older now. So is Joshua. So is Fury.
I was going to say he's 31 years old.
Campbell Hatton could be a big
possibly.
But it's very much like could be. We've only seen one fight where the nerves.
Joe Cordina maybe.
Yeah.
I like Joe Cordina, Scott Fitzgerald. I really like Scott Fitzgerald.
Still up there. But yeah, I mean Josh Kelly, if Josh Kelly goes, back and improves, and focuses on what his flaws have been in that Avanesian fight, and Josh Kelly will go straight back to being the prospect. Because before February, yeah, Conor Benn and Josh Kelly like rival prospects. You know what I mean? If you'd like ask that question, if Josh Kelly had beat Avanesian, we'd all say like, yes, Josh Kelly is Conor Benn's rival prospect. But because he's lost that fight, he doesn't quite get there yet. I don't know if I've summed that up well enough, but that's kind of how I think of it.
Fair enough. This one is a totally random one, but who would win in a street fight out of Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson.
Probably, yeah.
Rogan's been in prison.
Is Joe Rogan in prison?
No, Mike Tyson.
Oh, I've always said they both have.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like Mike Tyson's been in prison, and like he's just hard as nails, really, isn't he? Like realistically, the only thing that would stop it, right? Interesting little theory. Obviously, it's a more fun question. Mike Tyson, he might take some magic mushrooms or something. We know he loves that. Imagine actually, I'd love to see a street fight of them because Joe Rogan's talked about it as well. When they're both on DMT and they just have like a street fight and they're just seeing like random like stuff. We just see a video of them just like swinging, and Mike Tyson's like swinging for like I don't know like someone who's like an alien or something, and Joe Rogan's like swinging like for Optimus Prime and stuff like that. And then we just like and they're just swinging in completely different directions. That would be pretty mental, I think. But in terms of a street fight, not on drugs, sober. Mike Tyson.
Which is how I'd expect it to be.
Mike Tyson would be Joe.
Joe Rogan can put up his like he can bang Joe Rogan. Well, he's a black belt, isn't he?
A big guy, isn't he, Joe Rogan? He's always. I mean, Dana White's, he can.
He's huge.
White, he's split up so many fights in weigh-ins and stuff. You can always, trust Dana White to control stuff. True Geordie, he could imagine True Geordie in a street fight. That'd be scary. That bloke would be scary in a street fight. Get True Geordie on this podcast. I'll just speak to him. That'd be.
We'll go on the True Geordie podcast. Big numbers, big numbers.
Me and Shay would just end up having a fight because True Geordie loves Conor McGregor, so we'd all just end up having a fight over like how Conor McGregor's fucked his career up.
What made you have a fight?
Yeah, we'd end up having a fight.
I'd put you out.
No,
True Geordie would be on Shea's side for that one though.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but yeah, I mean, Lawrence would be on my side, so I'd have they're like, yeah, let's go. But yeah,
He reminds of Lawrence a bit like.
I remind you of Lawrence.
Mm.
Okay, nice.
Or like one of them Rory. I fucking know Rory.
Let's keep this in because I want to get on the True Geordie podcast. So up the True Geordie, up the Rory, and yeah.
Rory.
The Dal's on there quite a lot now. You know, they're all doing UFC fights. By the way,
they've always got them on.
Top notch, man. We're gonna copy that. By the way, what they do.
Soon,
does.
You
know, get on the live stream.
I mean, I wouldn't say copy that. That's plagiarism, but a similar thing.
Yeah, we do a very similar thing. We call it not the knockout. We call it like
the Hit and Don't Get Hit podcast live stream.
Yeah.
But stay tuned for that. Like that's
that'll be in the works for summertime.
Yeah,
definitely.
If we actually had like, obviously, how's that? I don't know if you've got any more Instagram questions to ask Joe.
No, that was the last one.
But actually today, by the time everyone watches this, we'll all have our haircuts and she'll be drunk and a beer gone. But we have face. I don't know what. We'll have our faces on next podcast.
Face cams next podcast.
You can see our lovely faces, and then probably a few podcasts after that we'll have like in on that physical. The viewers aren't going to be even up to this point, are they realistically? So if you're still watching, yeah, we'll have more like, you know.
Don't underestimate our loyal fans. But you were the first troll on the old Twitter, old bird app.
Who said it? What happened there?
We're not going to reveal who it was because he's irrelevant. But I mean, it was nonsense really. He was just complaining, saying, "Oh, he's a bunch of casuals," all that stuff. I don't understand why that's the first response in fighting. Is always, "Oh, you're a casual." Oh, really? Like, you know, in football, if you say have an opinion, someone disagrees with you, you have an argument. In no point in that argument does someone say, "Oh, you're a casual and football fan." I don't know why that's the case in boxing and UFC.
Like, who actually like fights before the matches and that, like hooligans aren't they casuals in football? But you know, we're not casuals, by the way. I want to put whoever that is, right? We are not casuals. Okay, we are fight fans. Who we discuss topics that our viewers at the minute would want to listen to because we are trying to build an audience. So that's what I want to say to that bloke.
Best way to put it.
And we're talking about like the fights that are literally going, like, why would we not talk about Ngannou, his fight? Why would we not talk about that when it was the build-up? Why would we not talk about stuff that's in boxing? We talk about Conor Benn. How is Conor Benn like a casual topic? How is like Dillian Whyte a casual? Obviously, the main talk of our podcast, we have to get our views up at the start of the podcast. So yeah, like that person, like, yeah, troll us if you want, keep trolling us. We're having a good time. Funny
thing is, James, I think his main point of view was there. Your view on White Joshua too.
But, what, really?
Yeah.
Whoa, what did he say? This bloke has beef with me now. What did he say?
I'll get it up, hang
on. this bloke. God,
I've got it there. Don't embarrass yourselves and try and talk about boxing. No one wants to hear casual's opinion. And he says, keep talking about the worst division in boxing. And he said, why would I listen to the likes? I mean, this is after I responded, but it was, why would I listen to such takes as Whyte being able to beat Joshua when he doesn't beat anyone in the top 5? If he wants to come on the podcast and discuss this, we'll get him on.
Send a message to him. I know we're not doing face cam until next Sunday, but I want to say to this book, thank you for watching the podcast, because that you watching our podcast has got us views. The fact that you've watched our podcast and we actually talk about that like midway through the podcast. So you're asking why you want to watch it, but you've clearly watched our podcast because you know what we talk about in the podcast. So you're asking why you watch the podcast. I don't know, but you clearly do. So tweet us out what I want to say. Keep watching our podcast because we really appreciate your support. So thank you very much.
Right. So that's it, lads. Another great podcast. Many topics discussed. It's been great doing it. I want to say a thank you to all of our followers, our subscribers for always supporting the channel. Also, from now on, we have got a sponsor. So if you want to click the link below. No doubt Joseph will put the link down below
Of course.
to get new sports watches just in time for the gym's opening. Go in that website, hit the discount code below, get 30% off, which is the high class watches. All of us have got ours. So yeah, it's another great company on the rise, like ourselves.
Thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our Instagram and Twitter will be in the description below. We hope to see you next time.
Peace out.
Yeah, in a bit, people.
Boom.